Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's Tomi Daniels. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay, I think it's been a couple of weeks since I've last recorded a video. Apologies, it's been really busy and intense, but I'm back today and I'm back with a really juicy topic. So particularly if you're single or maybe in a relationship about to get married, you might find this very useful, but it probably could be useful as well even if you're married. Today what I'm talking about is getting intimate before marriage. And now before I go on, let's just address the elephant in the room. Was I intimate with my husband before we got married? The answer is yes. Okay, I know you're like, what? How? Okay, if you want to know more, make sure you stick around to hear what I have to say about this. All right. Okay, so when I say getting intimate before marriage, I'm sure automatically most people think sex, right? I'm allowed to say that on YouTube, right? Well, I don't know. But yeah, most people just think sex. But the truth is, yes, sex is a form of intimacy, but it's not the only way. And so when I say, was I intimate with my husband before we got married? What I meant is I was intimate, but not sexually. Now, this video is basically just to, I guess for single people and for people, looking or thinking about marriage in the future, to know that yes, you can connect with your boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, you can connect with them and you can, get as intimate and as close to them as possible without actually doing that sexually. And I say that because, sex before marriage is fornication, right? That's what it says in the Bible. That's where my standards come from. That's what I believe. So are there other ways that, you can actually really get to know someone without being, naked pretty much physically with them? Yes, there are many other ways. One of the ways is in terms of like talking about like your past, not just your past, but like your pivotal things about you. I think I did a video a while back talking about like, how much should you share with your partner. I think I was talking about your partner's family. How am I saying partner? How much should you share with your with your spouse or your husband or wife's family. So now, but in terms of like your actual person you're going to get married to, there are things that sometimes that you've gone through that have happened to you, or that you're still going through, that can actually change, things. Or maybe, for instance, some people are very fidgety and jumpy, and maybe it's because something that happened when you were little, something that maybe you've never told anyone, you've not, like things like that are actually crucial to who you are. Some things actually maybe they don't have any bearing on your present life or your future life. It's happened, you've dealt with it, you've moved on, you've healed, but it's always good to let them know. It's basically just coming clean and coming open, and those things actually really push you and bring you together, and you actually now feel like, I really know this person, I understand what makes them tick. Now I'm going to put a caveat here. The Bible talks about not casting our pearls before swine. So I'm not saying that just by the time you're talking to some guy or some girl that immediately you're just like spewing out everything about your life and giving them details that no one has asked you for. No, I'm talking about when you're in a serious relationship, when you are saying that when you believe that this is it, this is the person God has picked for you, this is the person you're going to get married to. I believe that it's really important to tell them, and it's not just about telling them, or actually telling them before marriage, because you don't want a situation where someone now comes like 2 years later in marriage, 2 years after I'm married, and the person is saying, oh, you never told me that the marriage is based on pretense or false representation. I mean, by God's grace, that's not your portion, and the whoever God has picked you for, the person will be mature enough to also handle this part of you, and same vice versa as well. When someone is telling you these deep things that you're like, oh wow, I never, you'll be mature enough to handle such situations. It takes maturity. Also, there's this the timing about when you're saying it. Like, it's not like when you're in an heated argument and then you're now just saying things that you shouldn't be saying, or things that should be said in a more convenient or suitable time. Anyway, so that's the first one. Opening up about your past, or things that are really pivotal things about you, or things that kind of make up you. And I know that sometimes you feel like, oh, I've healed. For instance, something like unfortunately, maybe if you were raped, I feel like that's something that they should know. Now, when they should know, I don't know. I would personally say that, that's something that you should say before before you get married, because you may feel like you've healed, you're okay, but then it may also have like some other things, like it may have triggered some other like characteristics or behaviors in you that you yourself you're not even aware about. But even if you're healed and it has nothing to do with your present life, everything is fine, it's still information that I think is should be shared, and so also a way to get intimate. It's vulnerability, basically. It's just opening up about your weaknesses or your it's literally just opening up yourself, which is what getting naked is. That's one. Two, finances. I think this is absolutely important. Like, I feel like some people don't even know like how much their actually husbands or wife earn, and they just, people don't, like, some people don't, particularly like in some, maybe like in some Nigerian settings or like families. And I think that's really weird, and that's is really weird, and I think it's really wrong. And I think that, this is even something that you should talk about before marriage. So not just for me, the starting point is even like, how much do you earn? And it's not because you're trying to, this is best you're getting married. So you guys are going to be making plans. You're going to be getting a house. You're going to be you're going to be moving in together. You're going to be building a life together. So what budget are you working on? Yes, you're working by faith. God has said He will give us everything that we need. It says, be anxious for nothing. Like, He clothes the lily. Everything, God supplies all our needs according to His riches in glory. But yet, even in spite of that, it doesn't mean that, you're earning, I don't know, £1,000 and you're thinking about getting a house that is, I don't know, say £600,000. So you need to plan, you need to, make, so this, I think the starting point is actually finding out how much they earn. But even more than that, in terms of finances, is, what are your assets? What are the things that, what do you owe? What are your liabilities? What loans do you need to pay off? What are your commitments, your monthly commitments? Some people, like, maybe they have siblings that they take care of, they have family members they take care of, they have friends that they're helping out. What is your attitude towards money generally? When I had this conversation with my husband, Shay, I feel like that was kind of like a turning point or like a pivotal moment in our relationship, because I really now felt at that point that I really know this person. It really did bring us closer together, and this, like, immediately I remember that night, it was like a Saturday night, like, we really went in depth, and I shared, I said, okay, this is what I have. He told me exactly what he had. I just felt that it really brought us closer. I understand, like, some people, like, if you're thinking that you can't trust the person you're about to get married with such information, then I think you really should be thinking again and thinking about what you're getting into. Because if you can't trust them with money, like, how many other things can you not trust them with? Or if you cannot trust them, or they're even telling you that they earn this, and you're thinking, like, you don't believe that that's what they really earn. But that is, so yeah, in terms of finances is one of the other ways that you can really get intimate. Now, I talked about sex, I mentioned it briefly. And I said already that, as a Christian, it's not on the table, right? It's not on the table. Of course, like, when you get married, that is another, like, deeper level of intimacy where it's like, this is me, like, let me not go into any details, but like, yeah, that you're getting into another level, but of intimacy when you get into marriage. But yeah, before marriage, there are definitely like some things that there are ways that you can connect there. As in, it's not even just that, it's also like things like dreams. What are your aspirations? What do you want to do? How are you planning to get there? But just note that all these things I'm saying, it's a two-way street. So it's not just them like giving and telling you like, okay, this happened, but also you sharing yourself, and when they are sharing as well, you being mature enough to handle it. Because some things that you're going to hear, it's probably you probably would be like, wow, like, I never have thought you went through that, or I never have thought you did that. But you really have to be mature, like, in how you respond, how you process. Like, some things you also need to process it, but just make sure that you're not giving rash responses when someone is sharing their really deepest, darkest secret with you. And you have to also be mature enough to know how to handle it, and that it's not going to be something that you'd start using against them in future, because that's also like some concerns that people have. And even if for any reason you've gone so far with someone, they've shared all of these things with you, and then you've shared with them as well, and it turns out that you guys don't get married, I think if you're, for instance, if someone has shared so many things with you and you end up don't get married, just make sure that it's something, there are things that you never share with anyone, because they shared it to you on the basis of, this was my wife to be or my husband to be. So just be mature enough and know that no matter what they even did, I think, like, think about it, like, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus go on like Instagram and start like writing everything and say, oh, because they cheated on me, so now I'm going to tell the world all of their secrets, all of that? Of course, I don't know, depending on what it is, but just, be mature with how you handle the information. Yes, that brings us to the end of the video. So yes, again, to answer your question, I was intimate with my husband, but not sexually before marriage. I hope you've learned from this, and I hope you're able to kind of, it helps your relationship, or when you do get into a relationship, you can open up more. And even if you're already married and you did not do any of these things, you don't really talk, it's never too late to start. It's never too late to rebuild the foundation. Of course, it may be tougher than someone who's just getting into the relationship fresh, but it's not too late. You can, and if there are even lies that you've told and things that you've said that are not true, you've said things, again, you can, now is a good time to restitute, repent, go and tell them, tell them the truth, tell them what happened, tell them why you behave the way you behave, tell them what has led to it, and just, watch, God bring you closer together. And yes, pray about it as well, in terms of like timing, when to say it, how to say it, and all of that. God cares and is concerned about every single thing. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Please remember to subscribe. Remember to leave a comment. I love to read comments, but I don't get enough. And I love to read them on YouTube. So if you've learned anything at all, or even if you just watch, just say I watched this. You can leave that as a comment and just say I watched this. Please share. Particularly with those that are maybe thinking about marriage, just about married. It's just anyone. You really never know where people are at, and this may be something that they need to hear now. All right, thank you so much for watching, and it's Tomi Daniels. Thank you. Remember to watch my older videos as well. All right then, take care and goodbye.